Well, it's easy for you to find me on ChatGPT, I'm sure. And probably you can read that for yourself, so I tell you something about me that is not on ChatGPT. So I consider myself a lucky guy. I'm lucky because I had the opportunity to be born and grow up in Kenya, where giraffes stuck their head through my bedroom windows. And secondly, because I had a chance to come to IESE and to be part of the community with you. And thirdly, because I had a chance to follow my dreams. And for those reasons, I consider myself, and you won't find that on ChatGPT. More seriously, on the focus of my work and the topic today is around using technology and AI to understand human nature. And this is, from my perspective, fundamental in how we engage with, work with AI. So we are building a large behavioral model. We have developed ways to respect privacy at the same time as being relevant. So that's the focus, and that's what I devote my time and my mental space to trying to bring to being.
Mm-hmm. We have a very pragmatic audience in front of us. These guys have been in many other GARs. They have heard us talk about biotech, globalization, the cyber coins. They have heard us talk about the internet, e-commerce, now artificial intelligence. No, so some of these things have happened, and some of these things still have to happen. Some of these things have been good for everyone. Some of them have been good for a few and not good for all. Some of these things are taking a lot of time to happen. So it gives us an idea that timing and timing of entry in particular are things that are important to consider. What is your take on all these things? Are we there already, or there is a lot of this? We may be the next GAR not talking about artificial intelligence, not even as a footnote.
It's a good question. If you look around you, you find AI everywhere. It's in the managing the battery on your phone. It's making the planes fly in the sky. It's managing how fast your Uber is going to come to you. So all of these ways in which AI is embedded in our life already make us think that it's almost overhyped. We have this perception of AI and its noise. But consider some different perspectives. This year alone, there will be R&D spend of $700 billion. And you think about the volume of money that's going into the space, and you come to some slightly different conclusions. When you look at that, there are two factors driving that. One is there is an AI arms race taking place between the US and China and other countries, actually. The second is that it's growing, the capabilities are growing at, let's say, 10x per year. So what does that mean in 5 years? That means 100,000 times better AI than we have today, right? That's a big shift when we think about that. What's happening underneath that is two things, the arms race, but also AI is starting to grow itself. I use the word grow very purposefully. Some of the researchers at Anthropic very recently talked about the change that they were seeing from coding AI to it actually learning, self-learning, and growing. And when it's growing, it's looking more like a biological system, more like a human brain or a monkey brain or the way the eye works. And so when we think about the kind of change that's going to happen, that's the accelerator that we see. If you put a question on, okay, so what's the break? The break is actually the capacity we have as humans and organizations to adapt to this change. And that's, when you really think about the organizations we run today, because many of us do, you find that we are well-established machines set up to perform tasks on repeat to get to a certain outcome. We want our profit, we want the revenue, we want our planes to fly on time. So the transition that we will make to the point where organizational AI is like a self-driving car is really significant. But we as humans are very resistant to that change. And that change will take place, therefore, slowly and probably in a set of phases, because our capacity to adapt with it will be much, much less. So thinking about that, with that change, I think we'll see 3 different phases of change take place. The first is where we start to get aligned, and that's in a phase like now. We're experimenting with it, we're finding what works, we're trying to understand, we're trying to get onto the same page. When we think about that what happens next, we need to start to automate that change. And as we start to automate that change, think about, let's say one of our clients actually has campaigns that run for millions of dollars. And so naturally their finance department want to check it, right? So it doesn't matter how good the prediction is for whether this campaign will be successful. There is someone else further in the chain who is going to stop that activity happening. So the question is, if I'm to automate the entire journey end to end, I need to solve the problem for the finance team. I need to make them feel comfortable about how this AI will get actually developed and implemented. And that means maybe we have to predict the kind of return that we will get out of the campaign that's being run. Maybe there are boundaries with which they can set. So that kind of automation will be the next phase. The third phase will really take place around being fully autonomous. And that fully autonomous shift, we'll see a major change in the way that companies act and react. Let's take some water.
I think I have to formulate a much longer question so that you can clear your throat properly. Yeah?
Probably true.
Okay, I'm going to do my best. For asking along, to cut a short story long, so we're going to do it the other way around. Yeah. Let's take this idea of ethics and privacy, which is lurking always on the background of artificial intelligence. No? So the continuous observation of individuals is at the core of the statistical analysis that is necessary for the algorithms of AI. So this necessarily also produces this concern with respect for the privacy of people and the ethics in the collection and use of data. You know that we have a solution for this, and we will talk about this at the end of the presentation of the fireside chat that we have right now. But how can this be solved? What kind of solutions is the artificial intelligence generating on the realms of technology, for instance, which may have maybe the beginning of a change in this super concern for, which has not been a concern. It has been for some of the disruptive fields previously, but not the way that it is for artificial intelligence.
I thank you. It's a helpful question. When you think about that conundrum, and it is a conundrum because on the one hand, as Jose Luis says, you have continuous observation. And none of us want to feel like we are being continually observed, particularly if that information is being used elsewhere. So the challenge is, how do you stop that? How do you still provide the input and the value to be relevant and actually take care of the privacy concerns? So to do this, we built a particular type of AI, something called an edge AI. It's AI that lives in your device, and it gets installed via an app. So say you are, I don't know, Mango, and Mango might install the SDK into their app, and then this Edge AI will be running on your device, and it's learning about you as a person. And
your device being?
Your mobile, your own mobile, your personal mobile.
So turn off you have one more reason for turning off your mobiles. Huh?
So when it's learning this information, the minute it lands on your device, it automatically knows a lot about you, because the size of the fonts, how frequently you recharge your battery, all of these are signals that you can interpret, and statistically they become extremely accurate. The question then is to make sure that the data never leaves your device. So that's the benefit of having this Edge AI. It can live in your device. It can answer the questions that are coming through your device, but it's not leaving, right? So that's a good example of a radically new set of technology that can start to solve this dilemma between privacy and how to actually be relevant to your customer and for the customer in that moment in time.
And this is very clear in the sense that the technology already exists, and also the device owners, meaning the Samsungs and the Apples and the not only cell phones, but portables, laptops, workstations, are starting to be edge-enabled.
Exactly. There's a continuous change at the moment and a movement not to move data, no matter on your device or in centers, and instead to share inference or the insight that comes as a consequence. But this transition to what's called federated learning is a major change. So over the next years, as this technology starts to become more widely deployed, we will start to solve these fundamental problems.
One of the things that you have not said when you introduce yourself is that you are the sponsor of the Intent HQ. By the way, I don't know who made the sign of Jonathan's logo here, but they have written Content HQ, and it's Intent. Okay. So and this is probably AI has done it, has not been a human error. So it's okay now. Great. So but he told it to me. I don't know. So one of the things that the chair did twice during this year was a congress on loyalty programs, and it was based on research done with the large databases that we operate. And one of the things that was interesting was to use it in the area of retail, no? Because retail seems to be one of the areas where more first-party data is collected, and where you have information from loyalty programs, you have information from apps, you have information from your own directly owned stores, from your marketplaces, and from your brand.com operations, but still it seems like looking through the keyhole. No? So how does Edge change this? Can you give us an example so that the attendants can?
Yeah. So it's the analogy of a keyhole is good, because imagine you're looking through a keyhole and you think you see a room, but you see very little of it, in fact. That means that when I try to understand Jose Luis or myself, I really, through a set of transactions, whether I bought something in the store, etc., in reality, that's a very small percentage of who I am or who Jose Luis is, for sure. The question is, how can you get real relevance? Like, it matters right now, this exact moment that something is happening, my intent matters, and that's part of the Edge AI. But to solve that from the position of the retailer requires you to flip the marketing model. So the marketing model today has everything stored in the cloud, your identity, you, and then it pushes it to the device, right? So that's how it works. But with Edge, it reverses that. So every few seconds, every device polls and says, have you got any information for me? And the central cloud instead can send, say, I'm looking for a Mercedes driver living in Madrid who has an affiliation with IESE. A perfect example. And the device that has that can put its hand up and says, that's me. And so then the message, the offer can be sent, right? So immediately you have what we might call blind personalization, right? You as the retailer might not know that it's Jonathan or Jose Luis or whoever. And at the same time, your message is exactly spot on, at exactly the right moment, not within a window, but exactly. So that kind of transformation to a retailer makes a huge difference. But I would extend it to look at, you know, a wider set of AI. When you think about, I now need to start to run, let's say I have a launch across 100 stores. And as those launches go across 100 stores, you will start to see multiple AIs starting to coordinate, negotiate between themselves, make sure that the stock levels in each stores are correct, produce new marketing materials, send the right message to the right person, all orchestrated. Right? So we start to see this transformation really starting to happen. And already, some of the new approaches with Gen AI are taking established retailers, for example, Kroger in the US, which was offering its own insight services to other companies, finding that Gen AI is almost better than their existing systems. Well, why? Because it has a better understanding, a wider understanding of the market space, not just what that customer bought in store. And so the important point here, it's the wider perspective of both the market and the customer that is really the important thing, because then we see the whole person. Mm-hmm. And that allows you to really make a really radical difference in the way that you bring these things to life.
And all this is happening both
today,
Edge as well as this new trustability between companies that share data and learn to take advantage of the best that they can from the information they hold.
And what's
the insights.
Yeah, and what's interesting is that the demand is coming a lot from emerging markets. They want to overtake everyone else, right? Mm-hmm. So, you know, typically we're slower here in Europe, or in the States actually even, than in parts of Africa and Asia and India, where there's a real switch on to changing the way we do things and jumping in.
Shifting a little bit the area of discussion, we have talked many times about AI assistants and super agents as another field of development of technology. Can you share something about this?
So this is happening right now. So imagine my wife sends me a message on WhatsApp, and we start to see a range of new super agents. And you could think about a GPT as a super agent, but it's an early stage version. And there will be likely many, you know, so your financial services firm might have a financial super app on your device. Typically what will happen, they will need to refer to some system, and likely it will be something like our Edge AI that will understand you, right? And privately be able to give the information to answer the question that you as a user have just asked. And so you'll pick up that message. You want to go to Madrid? Shall we go to Madrid? And then an orchestration of agents begins. So you start to see agent orchestration take shape. And this is being built now. It's actually, there are a number of companies really focused on orchestrating this agent-to-agent kind of capability. And then finally, when having understood you, orchestrated what are the options, you get a choice. And on that choice, then you make your decision, and the flights, the hotels, everything is booked.
I did this yesterday night. I entered in my ChatGPT that I needed to be here at 10:30 in the morning, which gave me ample time to be at IESE. That it was IESE, that I was living from Barcelona, that the weather conditions, check the weather conditions and tell me what is the risk of the weather conditions upsetting this, and also check in the end if there are available tickets. And it did everything. And it did it, and the best thing is that I'm sure that if I talk to a travel agent to ask this, the guy does not he will not be as categorical as the AI software was. But I got here this morning at 8 a.m. in the morning. I think that it's very conservative too. It made me come very early in the first shuttle at 7 a.m. in the morning. But it's fantastic. I had never made a test, and it was super intuitive, and it had you could see the collaboration taking place in there. No? Now, with all these things that we have discussed, and if you put everything together, and especially with the participation of Edge in all this story, I think that we have solved the problem of ethical problem and privacy problem.
Yes.
Because one thing that we will be able to do is to buy the data to the consumer. So instead of trying to get advantage or being an intermediary that takes advantage of that, directly pay the consumer. If you're a guy that is in the market for a Porsche 911 a red Porsche 911, you are worth a lot of money for
someone
for Porsche. So that means that you could be paying me, if I am the guy, 2,000 or 3,000 euros for my data, for me confessing this kind of thing.
possibility.
And would this probably be the solution? Turning us into owners at different buying powers, but citizens who own their consumer data.
I'm pretty convinced that within the next 10 years, maybe 7 years, this will become reality. So we are in an interesting time where today there is still too much friction in the system for this to really happen. Where is that system? Let's say I want to pay you. There are taxes, there are financial charges, particularly when the payments are micro payments for tiny amounts of data that are being transferred. But with some of the crypto and other decentralized systems, you start to see those those problems foundationally disappearing. And as those change, it becomes super possible to have a frictionless way to simply put money into your bank account every day, based on the data of yours that's been consumed. And really what starts to happen then is a transfer of value through the entire chain. So instead of value being aggregated in the agencies or in the brands, some of that's getting distributed. So the pie isn't growing, but it's getting more evenly distributed. And that change will also impact others. You know, the people who control the points of access, the super apps, will gain significantly more power than they have today. And that's why you see so much investment in voice and other kind of capabilities.
It's almost 2025. Do you dare to give us your forecast, your vision for 2030?
Sure. Well, let me give you some statistics. A year ago, in a complex human-scale coding task, AIs would get 3% of it right. Today, it's 50%. Likely, next year, 90%. So what do we see? We see between 2025 and 30, I describe it as capable AI, as opposed to super intelligence. And that capable AI is multifunctional, right? It's at the moment you have an AI that does one thing. It's typically domain-centric. But an AI that can run your organization and also drive your car, that doesn't exist today. But those kinds of overlaps will occur, particularly the sets of overlaps that occur between synthetic biology and AI, which actually transform things, and where AI takes human form through humanoid robotics and so forth. Those are making, by 2030, a massive change in how we do things, only constrained really by this organizational break that I referred to earlier.
Well, Jonathan, thank you very much for your forecast. We have consumed
too much time.
Thanks a lot. And now my colleague, Eduard Talamas. Thank you.
Thank you.